What is going on, everybody? It is Mike Charlotte once again coming at you on my website, MikeJC on Wrestling.com. And today, I am going to be previewing every WWE show taking place this weekend. We have NXT Takeover 30 taking place on Saturday, and WWE Summerslam 2020 taking place on Sunday. So let's get right into it and start discussing NXT Takeover 30. The matches announced so far, we have 5 main card matches and 1 pre-show match. And that pre-show match is a triple threat tag team match to determine a number 1 contender for the NXT Tag Team Championship. It is Breezango, Fandango and Tyler Breeze versus Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch versus Legado del Fantasma, Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza. Now, considering that there is no tag title match on this show, I don't think that Legado del Fantasma is going to win. It's not very likely that they're going to book a heel versus heel feud for the titles, so I immediately don't see that team winning. As for the other two, I think it could go either way. Breezango had a shot at the titles, and they lost due to a distraction. And Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch have both kind of been doing singles work recently. Oney Lorcan was in one of the triple threats to determine participants in one of the later matches for the North American title. And Danny Burch had a little run-in with Karrion Kross. So these guys kind of need more momentum as a tag team. They're kind of not doing a lot right now as a tag team. They've kind of just been there putting people over. Also, I don't think Breezango is done feuding with Legado del Fantasma. So for that reason, I'm going to pick Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan. We've seen how good Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan are with matches with the Undisputed Era and Mustache Mountain in the past, and I think these guys really they deserve better. They deserve more. They deserve a title run. They really are good as a team, and I think it's finally time to give them a shot. I have no idea why there's no tag title match on this show. I mean, the tag team champions haven't been featured since they successfully defended against Undisputed Era, and that was the beginning of the Pat McAfee Adam Cole thing on television. So yeah, I think Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch are going to win here, and something's got to be done about the tag team division something's got to be done about the tag team division in all of WWE, but NXT is usually very good in that department, and it's kind of been lackluster lately. So hopefully if Oney and Danny win, something can change there. Moving on to the next match, to the main card, and this match was just announced today, actually, day of recording, is Finn Balor taking on Timothy Thatcher. Now this is going to be a hell of a match, I'm sure, but it's kind of out of left field for me. I don't understand why Finn Balor wasn't put into the North American title ladder match, but Timothy Thatcher was the one who was pinned in their triple threat a few weeks ago. Finn Balor complained that he did not lose, so he deserved another chance to get in, and I guess Timothy Thatcher didn't like that. I don't know. It hasn't really been explained why Timothy Thatcher attacked Finn Balor on the last NXT before Takeover. So, but I think this will be a hell of a match to me. The clashing styles, I think, is going to make for a hell of a match. I don't think these two have ever faced each other before, ever, as far as I know. Yeah, I think Finn Balor's gonna get the win here. I don't really think they know what they are doing yet with Timothy Thatcher. After the Matt Riddle, he hasn't really done a lot since the Matt Riddle feud. That ended with Matt Riddle going to SmackDown. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect here. But I think Finn Balor's going to get the win, and I think that it should be a great match. Both guys are great. Finn Balor's character work recently has been amazing. I've also really enjoyed the skits that Timothy Thatcher's been doing with like training guys, and yeah, it's been interesting with what both of those guys have been doing. It's just weird that this match was put together the way that it was, but again, it should be a hell of a match with Finn going over as far as my pick. So the next match that I'm going to discuss is Adam Cole in a match that I am not very fond of, but I understand why it's happening. Adam Cole versus Pat McAfee. Now, if you don't know who Pat McAfee is, he is a former NFL punter, most notably with the Indianapolis Colts, and retired early, I believe when he was 30, and started doing podcasting, and obviously he's a big wrestling fan. We've seen him on kickoff shows, seemingly for no reason, in the past, 2 years, just because, and he's good at that. He's really good at that, and I will not fault him for how good his promos are. His promos are great, especially this past week. The promo he did with Adam Cole was amazing. I just don't understand why this is the match that they give probably their best performer in Adam Cole on their biggest show, in the longest time. It's the 30th Takeover. That's a big number. And you put Adam Cole in this kind of match. Now, it's very clear to a lot of us that Pat McAfee is the heel. He's kind of been very cocky. He's kind of been acting like he's a superior athlete, and that he could pick up wrestling really easy. And obviously there's no way of knowing that until we see him in an actual match. But I am just not a fan of this being what Adam Cole is doing on the show. Now, could it be a great match? Sure. Could it be a bad match? Absolutely. We all saw how Tyson Fury did in a wrestling match. So we really don't know how this could go until we see it. And now, yes, Adam Cole is a professional, and Adam Cole is really good at what he does. Tyson Fury had a match with Braun Strowman. Definitely not on the same level as Adam Cole. So this could be a good match. Now, what this leads to, I have no idea, because obviously this is here for a reason. This isn't just a one-off thing where Adam Cole wins or Pat McAfee wins and that's it. There's something that's going to happen because of this match. And part of me thinks it's going to be somebody from Undisputed Era turning on Adam Cole. Because to me, this does not feel like a thing that the Undisputed Era would be fond of. They had all the gold at one point, and now the rest of the group has nothing, and Adam Cole is wrestling a punter. So it's, part of me feels like Kyle O'Reilly returning recently, and Kyle O'Reilly kind of showing this intensity recently that we haven't seen out of him. Usually he's been very sarcastic, been very outspoken, like funny guy in the group, and recently that hasn't been the case. Recently he's been more serious and more intense, and I think that is going to play a factor, and Kyle O'Reilly is going to turn on the group. I don't think the entire group is going to turn on Adam Cole. I think the rest of the group is going to be separate from Kyle O'Reilly. And I could see Kyle O'Reilly being like really frustrated with the fact that this is what has happened to the Undisputed Era. This is what the Undisputed Era is doing now. And that's, in my book, not very good. So, yeah, I mean, if that's the case, if that happens, then unfortunately Pat McAfee's going to win. But if that doesn't happen, then Adam Cole should win, easily, because he's Adam Cole. But it's hard to say. But I think that something is going to happen that causes Pat McAfee to win. So, going on to the next match, it is the Women's Championship. NXT Women's Championship. Io Shirai versus Dakota Kai. Now, I have not loved the storytelling that they have been doing recently. For the most part in NXT, they always have done a thing where, people who get title shots, who deserve title shots. Now, on the main roster, Raw and SmackDown, there's been a precedent set where all you have to do is ask for a title shot, and you get the title shot, even if you don't deserve it. And at the time, Dakota Kai did not deserve it. Dakota Kai was on a losing streak. She had lost number one contenders matches, she had lost tag matches, and then all of a sudden she's like, I want a title shot. And she didn't get that title shot. That title shot went to Tegan Nox. But then Dakota Kai decided that she was tired of it, and she attacked Io Shirai. And now, instead of just giving her a title shot, she did have to earn it. She did have a number one contenders match against Rhea Ripley, and she won thanks to interference. And I still don't think that it was the right move to get us here. Now, yes, Dakota Kai did earn it. She won the number one contenders match, so that's fine. And I'm sure this will be a great match because both are great workers, especially Io Shirai, who can pretty much make anybody look good in the ring. But Dakota Kai is also very good. Dakota Kai her heel work has been great. Her having Raquel Gonzalez in her corner is very Shawn Michaels and Diesel. I'm not the first person to say that. Everybody's been making that comparison. And it just works. It just works for the character that she's playing. But I do not see Dakota Kai getting the win here, because I think it's very likely that they are building to another match between Io and Candice LeRae. Candice LeRae is being built up as a heel now. The roles between those two are kind of reversed now, and I think Candice LeRae is going to start building some momentum and eventually be next in line to face Io for the belt. I don't think it's the right time for Io to lose it, and I think that like I said, this is going to be a great match, and I hope that it's a clean finish and there isn't any interference or any kind. And that's been a big thing for me, especially recently in WWE pay-per-views, and it's kind of been bleeding over to NXT. They instead of having conclusive winners, they use pay-per-views to set up new matches and new feuds, and I hope that they don't do that here. But either way, I think it's going to be a good match, hopefully with a clean finish with Io winning. So the next match is the ladder match for the vacant NXT North American Championship. And the reason for this match, and I hate it so much, is because Keith Lee, after winning both the NXT North American Championship and the NXT Championship, decided to vacate the North American Championship. And in his promo, he said that he thought it was wrong for him to hold both belts and hold back the other talent on the roster, which is fine, and that makes a lot of sense. But why did you have to have a title for title match in the first place? You could have had somebody else win the NXT title. Have Keith Lee win the title later on. That's why I hate that. They have had double champions before. They've done it recently. So you could have had Keith Lee work double duty at this show and lose one of the belts. It was that simple. But that didn't happen. They vacated the title, and now we have this 5-way ladder match. And the participants are Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, Cameron Grimes, Johnny Gargano, and Velveteen Dream. Now, we all know what's been going on with Velveteen Dream. I don't need to reiterate that. I think that is too prevalent to ignore, and the fact that they brought him back the way that they did at the time that they did was wrong. But regardless, he's definitely not winning here, because if he did, there would be a lot of backlash. There's already backlash for him being in the match. So with that said, I don't think he's going to win. And unfortunately, WWE did that classic thing that they do, where at the end of a show before a pay-per-view, to set up a multi-man match, they had every member of the match interfere or attack each other. And unfortunately, when they do those things, they give away the fact that one of those people is not winning. And it's usually the last person standing during that brawl. And that person was Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed was the last person standing at the end of NXT, holding the belt, looking at the camera. And usually whenever they do that, that means that person's not winning. So Bronson Reed is out. So now it comes down to Damian Priest, Cameron Grimes, and Johnny Gargano. I don't think Johnny Gargano is going to win here. I really don't know what else there is for Johnny Gargano to do in NXT. And I've said this in the past. He says that he wants to be an NXT lifer, but there's not that much left for him to do. He's done everything. He's won every belt. And, all there is left for him to do is make others look good and put people over. And that shouldn't be the role that he's stuck in. He's too good to be stuck in that kind of role. Now, I don't know if he has aspirations to go to Raw or SmackDown. If he does, I would be concerned for him because of his size and because of what Vince McMahon thinks of people his size. But, so again, process of elimination, we're down to Damian Priest or Cameron Grimes, and these are the two most likely people, I think, to win this match. Damian Priest was, he put on a great performance in his last Takeover match against Finn Balor, and even in a loss, he looked great. So in that, they gave him a face turn, and they kind of hurt him in doing so, because they did what WWE does when they turn a heel with momentum into a face, and they made him look stupid, and they made him look like an idiot, and that never is good. The problem with that is that even though that fans like me and fans, hardcore fans like me who notice those things, there's no fans in the building right now. So I don't know. I could totally see Cameron Grimes winning this match and coming out every night and saying, that he's saying his shtick, it's grime time, and we're taking the title to the moon and all that. He's a really good talker, and I think that they would probably continue the feud between Grimes and Damian Priest, with Damian Priest chasing and eventually winning the belt from him. So I could totally see that happening, and that's why I'm going to pick Cameron Grimes to win here. I mean, we've seen these multi-man ladder matches in NXT before, and they're always very good. They always got good spots. Hopefully everybody is, prepared for this match. We've never seen, for the most part, Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, or Cameron Grimes in a ladder match before. So this will definitely be interesting. And so it should be a hell of a match. Now on to the main event of NXT TakeOver 30. It is Keith Lee defending the NXT Championship against Karrion Kross. Now, I've been saying for a while that I thought it was too soon to do this match. Keith Lee just won the belt, and Karrion Kross is too good of a character and too big of a character to lose right now. So you gave Keith Lee this big moment of winning both belts. You took one belt away, and now you put him in this match a month later, basically killing all the momentum that he had coming into this. And I just, that's why, to me, neither of these guys can afford a loss right now. Unless Keith Lee loses in some way where it still makes him look strong, and he ends up going to Raw or SmackDown. I don't even want that, because we all see how bad Raw and SmackDown is right now. But it's bound to happen at some point. So I'm sure this is going to be a hell of a match. Karrion Kross, it's very clear to me that they have very high aspirations for him in the future, and I wouldn't be surprised if they want to give him a legit NXT title run first, on the Adam Cole level, and just run with it for as long as they can until he inevitably does go to the main roster, which he will. And Keith Lee, unfortunately and fortunately for him, he's going to lose the belt on just a month of holding it, which is just so ridiculous to me. And then probably go to Raw, SmackDown, and hopefully not fall into the same category as everybody who comes from NXT to Raw or SmackDown and be treated like garbage. It's very obvious that Vince McMahon is fond of him. They gave him a lot last year at Survivor Series and all that. So the Royal Rumble also had an appearance. So it's very possible that if he does go to the main roster, he could be treated as if he's a big star already. And SmackDown is desperate for faces right now. SmackDown is desperate for a lot of things. So I could totally see him coming in and even having a feud with AJ Styles right away. That would be amazing. We'll see how it goes, but this match is going to be amazing. I think both of these guys are great. Karrion Kross has everything. He has the tools to be that guy that Vince McMahon loves, that could be at the top of the company. His character is different. It's dark. He's so good, and I think that giving him an extended run with the title, even though I still think it's way too early for Keith Lee to lose it, Karrion Kross is going to win the belt and possibly hold it longer than Adam Cole, I think. Because there's nobody else on NXT right now that I could see them like giving anybody else that kind of run except Karrion Kross. So that's going to do it for NXT Takeover. That's going to be a great show on Saturday night. And hopefully it doesn't, as I said earlier, it seems very likely, and it's noticeable, that Vince McMahon is getting more involved with NXT. You could see it, especially with that segment that ended NXT this week, with every participant in the ladder match showing up and doing a signature. That is such a Vince McMahon thing. And I just don't want NXT to turn into a third brand that was ruined by Vince McMahon. I hope that doesn't happen, but you can already see that happening. So, moving on. Now we're going to discuss Sunday, WWE Summerslam, the 2020 edition. And as of right now, there's only 8 matches announced, and only 3 of the matches are from SmackDown. So I think it's very likely that we might see some other matches announced. I don't know how the Matt Riddle versus Baron Corbin match hasn't been announced yet, but I'm sure it will be this week. AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy are having an Intercontinental title match on SmackDown this week, but I think it's very possible that they might have a rematch. If that happens, they will have a rematch and AJ will win. I don't think that's the person to take the belt off of AJ. As for Baron Corbin and Matt Riddle, if they have that match at SummerSlam, obviously Matt Riddle is winning. Baron Corbin's not going to beat Matt Riddle. I never wanted that feud in the first place. We all saw it coming, and it's just as bad as we thought it would be. So let's discuss all the matches on the card. The first match is the United States Championship. Apollo Crews defending again against MVP. And it's been announced, thanks to a match this past Monday, that Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin are banned from ringside. Of course, they are a part of the Hurt Business with MVP. Now, I am not happy with the fact that MVP is getting another United States Championship match. Another one. And every single week since they have announced this feud, since they announced this match, since this feud has been going on, MVP has done nothing but lose over and over and over again. But so has Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews lost like 3 times in the last 2 weeks. That's really bad. And MVP has lost almost every match that he's been in since this match was announced. The only person that they made look good in this feud is Bobby Lashley, and he's banned from ringside. He's not even on the card. But also, the fact that MVP has a SummerSlam match, a title match at SummerSlam, and people like Rey Mysterio, Ricochet at the time, Matt Riddle at the time, AJ Styles, Mustafa Ali, don't have a match, and MVP does, that's a problem to me. I am not a fan of that. But Apollo Crews is definitely retaining here. There's no reason for this match to be happening again. There's no reason for MVP to win. It doesn't even feel like a SummerSlam match. It just feels like a rematch that is unneeded, but between two guys that have barely won anything and have garnered any momentum going into this match. So the next match that I'm going to discuss is the hair versus hair match. Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville. And this story has actually been really good. Sonya Deville has been amazing on the mic. And her in-ring work keeps getting better and better. And the attack that she did on Mandy was pretty vicious looking. And cutting her hair, obviously, in that attack to set up the stipulation for this one. And I've just gotten tired of the use of Otis in this storyline, and the fact that he's the Money in the Bank winner and he's literally doing nothing. He never should have won that in the first place. But the one thing that I'm very unsure about is Mandy as a face. She hasn't been horrible. She's actually been pretty good in the role that she's playing. And it's definitely better than the role she was playing, where she was always saying how much prettier she was than everybody. I hated that. But this match and this feud has been great. And I think that this match will actually be pretty good, because both are pretty good in-ring workers, and as we know, people who are friends outside of the ring are usually the best people to work with. And it's very, very clear who's winning. Mandy Rose is definitely going to win, especially since they already gave her a haircut on television. So they're not going to shave her head after they already cut her hair on the air. So they're probably going to give it to Sonya. Sonya probably expected that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Sonya suggested this stipulation, but it should be a good match. And yeah, Sonya's definitely going to lose, but it's not going to hurt her, because she's going to continue to build momentum after the fact and hopefully get a title shot down the line, because she is that good and she does deserve it. The next match that I'm going to discuss is Dominik Mysterio taking on Seth Rollins in a street fight. Now, we all know that Dominik Mysterio has been training to wrestle for a long time, and we all know that it was going to happen eventually. But does it bother anybody else that, just like MVP, who we don't need on this card, Dominik Mysterio doesn't need his first match to be this, when guys like Ricochet, Mustafa Ali, Rey Mysterio, his dad, does not have a match, and he does, against Seth Rollins of all people. Now, sure, I understand. They want to get his feet wet. He's never had an actual match ever on television or otherwise, as far as I know. And I just don't know if this is the right stage to do it. The storyline has been pretty good, though. The promos between these guys have been pretty good, as well as including Rey Mysterio in those promos. The whole, Rey Mysterio will do anything for his family, even if it means going blind thing, has been fine, despite the eye for an eye match that we saw at Extreme Rules, which was complete garbage. This has been a pretty good feud that I'm intrigued about where it's going, but I've been saying for a while that I think that this is going to lead to Dominik turning on Rey and joining Seth Rollins. I think that the way they've been portraying this storyline as, Rey Mysterio and Dominik have just been going after Seth for everything that he's done to them, and Seth kind of gave Dominik a quote-unquote initiation with those cane shots, Singapore cane shots. And I think that it's very possible that at some point, off camera or whatever, where Seth finally got to Dominik, and and got him to turn on his dad. And I could totally see that being the case. Because if this is just Dominik facing Seth and winning, and that's it, that isn't entertaining to me. That's just predictable. So doing that, I think, would further this storyline of Rey Mysterio feuding with the Monday Night Messiah. And I think that it would definitely... I think it would be interesting to see what happens if that were to happen. So if that does happen, I think that what's going to cause that is Rey is going to get involved because it is a street fight, and it's going to cause Dominik to lose. And then after the match, Dominik is going to reveal that he is aligned with Seth. Now, it could also happen during the match. I think it's very possible that Dominik could reveal that he's with Seth during the match and just lay down for Seth. That's also very possible. But either way, I think if it does happen, Seth is definitely going to win. And I want that to happen just because I want something different out of this. Now, you might argue that isn't different, that would be predictable. But I think it's more predictable for Rey and Dominik to beat Seth and to stand tall and celebrate. That is just not what I want out of this. So the next match that I'm going to discuss is the Raw Tag Team Championships. The Street Profits defending against Angel Garza and Andrade. This feud has been bad. Everything about this has made zero sense. Now, they did a storyline where it was revealed that Zelina poisoned Montez Ford and tried to make it so that he wouldn't be able to defend the championships. Now, the problem with that is they did that 2 weeks before the pay-per-view. Why wouldn't she do that the week of the pay-per-view? Why wouldn't she do that on the go-home episode of Raw? Instead, they do it 2 weeks before the pay-per-view and make it so that he heals and he's ready for the match. So what was the point then? And just the fact that Angel Garza, and again, that WWE trope that they've been doing forever now, a few weeks before they earned a shot at the titles, the Street Profits beat them in a non-title match. And then they had they just in a number one contenders match? Why were they in a number one contenders match if they lost a non-title match to the champions? So that doesn't make sense either. And it's just stupid. It's just stupid. Why would you get a shot at winning a title if you just lost to the champions? It doesn't make any sense. But ever since that happened, they've been having singles matches and, non-title matches and 6-person tags and making it impossible for me to care about the actual title match, which is what happened. And unfortunately, I don't care enough to know who's going to win this match, but I think Angel Garza and Andrade are actually going to win. And hopefully the feud's just over. I don't want a rematch. I don't want the feud to continue. I just want the feud to be over. And to move on from this, because it's really, really bad. Like, really bad. So moving on from that. And let me just add that even though, Bianca and Zelina actually had a hell of a match in a singles match a couple of weeks ago, before they actually revealed who the person was that poisoned Montez Ford, even though we all knew, that match was good, but this feud itself is just really, really bad. Alright, so moving on to the next match, and I guess we could talk about these two matches together. Bayley and Sasha both defending their women's championships in separate singles matches against Asuka. SmackDown and Raw women's championships. Sasha defending the Raw, Bayley defending the SmackDown. So, I don't like the fact that Asuka is working double duty, but Bayley and Sasha are not. Why can't you just also have a tag title match on this show? If you're going to have Asuka work double duty, you should have the champions working double duty. I think it's stupid that Asuka is getting a shot at both titles anyway, and that they had a battle royal to determine who would face Bayley, and they said that people from all three brands would be included. They were missing like 15 people in that match. There was a lot of people in that match that were missing, and it was just so predictable that when they revealed that Asuka was in the match, that she was going to win. And honestly, it really should have been Shayna, because SmackDown needs women really bad, like really bad. But it seems pretty clear to me that they're setting up something for Shayna and the Raw Women's Championship later on. Now, this thing with Bayley and Sasha obviously has been going on for a really long time, and it's been really good. They have all the belts, and they've been the best characters since the pandemic. They've been the best characters on all three shows. They've been amazing, and I've loved every second of it. But one of them has to lose, and I think that's going to be Sasha, because they have put emphasis on the fact before that Sasha has never successfully defended a championship on Raw or SmackDown. She's never been SmackDown Women's Champion, so on Raw, she's never successfully defended a belt. And I think that's going to continue, and that's going to start the rift between these two. Sasha's going to be upset that Bayley was able to successfully beat Asuka, finally, because Bayley's never beaten Asuka before, and Sasha was unsuccessful after winning the belt on a countout, which, as I've discussed in the past, was very dumb. It was not a good way to portray Asuka as a stupid babyface who has the match won and then just decides to leave and can lose the match by countout just because her friend was being attacked. That was dumb, and it made Asuka look dumb for doing it. So Asuka needs to win one of these matches to save that, and like I said, I think it's going to be Sasha, and the rift is going to begin. Sasha's going to be jealous of the fact that she still can't defend a title. Bayley's been champion for over 200 days, and she's going to be jealous of the fact that they announced that Bayley is going to face Asuka first at SummerSlam. So I think that also is going to play a factor. If Bayley beats Asuka and then Sasha loses after Asuka already lost a match, that's going to make Sasha feel even worse. And obviously it's not going to be immediate. It's going to be, I think there's going to be something where Sasha helps Bayley retain, but Bayley doesn't help Sasha retain. That is the most logical thing, I think. And that will definitely cause Sasha to see Bayley differently after that. And then Bayley will do a promo where she said that the weight of all of it was starting to get to her, and one of us had to lose, so why would it be me, kind of thing. And Sasha obviously isn't going to like that. But either way, both of these matches should be great because of who's in them. Sasha, Bayley, and Asuka have been the showcase of both shows for a while now, and it like I said, one of them has to lose. Has to. Because Asuka can't win both belts, and Asuka can't lose both matches. It just can't happen. So, for this to make sense, one of them has to lose. Considering that they're still the tag champs, they'll still be on both shows. So, I think that Sasha will lose and Bayley will retain. Both of these matches should be great. At least I hope. I hope they get a lot of time for both matches. And yeah, those two matches are actually what I'm looking forward to most on the show. So it should be pretty good. Bayley retains, Sasha does not. So moving on, we only have 2 matches left, and they are the 2 biggest championships. The Universal Championship being defended by Braun Strowman against the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Now, I hate to say that I saw this coming, but I think everybody saw this coming. This feud has been going on for way too long. Way too long. They even took a month off and it's still going on. It's been going on since May. It's August. That's too long. And for some reason, Braun had to face 3 different versions of Bray Wyatt. At Money in the Bank, he faced Five Funhouse Bray Wyatt. At Extreme Rules, they did a stupid swamp match that wasn't for the belt against the Eater of Worlds, Bray Wyatt. And now he's finally facing the Fiend, the one he should have faced in the first place, where this feud should have just ended after 1 match. But no, they had to prolong it and do this thing where Bray Wyatt goes after Alexa Bliss, because Alexa Bliss is Braun Strowman's friend, and that they've portrayed on TV in the past that they have feelings for each other. And now Braun, who was thrown into the swamp, came out as the monster again, and he shaved his head, so now he's different. And that's not that impressive, the fact that he shaved his head. And I made a joke about this on Twitter. They say that the Fiend has changed everybody, and Braun Strowman even said it on air. He said, "Look at me, the Fiend has changed me for the better." And I said that all you did was shave your head and get angrier and sweatier. That's a haircut and a trip to the gym. And that's what it is. It's not that impressive. Yes, the Fiend has changed people in the past, but they've changed on a much more extreme level. Daniel Bryan went from the Planet's champion to back to the Yes Movement. Seth Rollins went from the locker room leader to the Monday Night Messiah. Those are extreme changes. This is not different. This is just an angry Braun with no hair. And now he doesn't care about Alexa Bliss because Alexa Bliss doesn't care about him, and she never did. So stupid. So stupid. And honestly, if Alexa Bliss aligned herself with the Fiend, because she has interacted with the Fiend gave her the mandible claw the 1 week, and then the second week he went to do it again, and she put her hand on his face and he stopped and didn't give her the mandible claw. Kind of I don't know if she just did that to get to the Fiend, or if she was really starting to believe in the Fiend or whatever. But if she is, then so be it. That's different, I guess, for her, especially for her. She's never been a follower, really. She's always been had somebody following her. She's always been the manager, that was the one that was in control. So that would be very different for her. And that would be different for... she needs something else. She really does. But this feud needs to end. And it needs to end with The Fiend winning the title back, even though he never should have lost it, and moving on from Braun Strowman. I believe that The Fiend doesn't need the belt, but Braun Strowman has been a horrible champion, and I don't want him as the champion anymore. Because I just don't care to see him go up against anybody else as the champion. I just don't. I'd rather see people face The Fiend. And, Bray Wyatt can... Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt can lose the belt down the line. The Fiend should never lose. Ever again. Ever again. They almost made it impossible to save him after The Fiend lost to Goldberg. And I will say it a million times, The Fiend should not have lost to Goldberg. Firefly Funhouse should have lost to Goldberg. It's that simple. I don't know why it wasn't done that way, because nobody cares about Goldberg. And I certainly don't. If I never saw Goldberg ever again, it would not bother me in the slightest. So enough with that little rant about Goldberg. Bray Wyatt, The Fiend should win here, move on from this, never give Braun Strowman the championship ever again. So that brings us to the main event. The WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre defending against Randy Orton. Now this has been the best feud on Raw in a long time. This feud has been so good because of the promos that they have done, with Drew McIntyre talking about how Randy Orton was supposed to be like a locker room leader and he didn't care about anybody but Randy Orton, and that when Drew got fired and really needed somebody like Randy Orton to be there for him, Randy Orton wasn't there. Randy Orton only cared about Randy Orton. And it's been very evident with the way he's been acting recently, bringing back the Legend Killer gimmick and hurting people just for the sake of hurting them, and even going to the lengths of hurting Ric Flair, the guy who made Randy Orton, who helped make Randy Orton with Triple H in Evolution, a mentor of his. And the promo that he did with Ric Flair was amazing. And the little way that they made it look like Randy Orton punted Ric Flair, even though he really didn't, was really cool. And the thing that I hated about that was the fact that Drew McIntyre knew this was happening, and he should have ran out as soon as Ric Flair got low blowed, and not after the punt. Like, he should have been in Gorilla watching the match, and he should have ran out immediately. And then he did the exact same thing with Shawn Michaels. He knew, even though Shawn Michaels asked him not to interfere, he knew that Randy Orton would do exactly what he did, and he did it anyway, and Drew was not there in time. He did it twice. But Drew, other than those two moments where he should have been there, has been a hell of a champion. It's just that the people that they have put him with have not made him look that credible, because everybody that he's faced didn't deserve to face him. And I'll say it again, Seth Rollins after after Mania, he lost at Mania. Why did Seth Rollins get a title shot? Nobody knows. He lost. Then he faced Bobby Lashley, who had no momentum at all. They tried to salvage it a little bit, but he also lost at Mania and got a title shot, and he lost. And then the Dolph Ziggler thing went on for way too long. It was really bad, and nobody cared about it. So he's finally facing somebody with some credibility who actually deserves a title shot, and he needs to go over and make him, and he needs to look good doing it. Otherwise, this entire title run was a waste of time. Because Randy Orton doesn't need the belt, even though he's the best he's ever been in a really long time. He does not need the belt at all. And it's not going to hurt him if he loses to Drew McIntyre. It's going to make him look stronger because somebody finally stopped Randy Orton. And then Randy Orton's going to be pissed. And he's going to have to start back from the bottom and Drew will finally look like a credible champion, the way he should have looked before, but he never faced anybody credible. So, I hope that's what happens. That's what should happen. And that's what I'm going to say. Drew needs to retain. He needs to win clean. He needs to win decisively, because he needs to show that he is a true champion. And he needs to look like the guy that beat Brock Lesnar and the Big Show in the same night. He needs to look like the guy that he looked like before he won the belt. And that is definitely not what he's looked like in these past couple of feuds. This is the feud that get him there. This is that feud. And if they take the belt off of him, all they're doing is hurting him, just like they've hurt everybody else in this role that he is in now. So that's going to do it for me, guys. That is all the matches announced for this weekend. I hope that everybody enjoys all of the matches. I hope that everybody enjoys the weekend. It is my birthday weekend, so I hope that I am not disappointed on my birthday weekend with these two shows. As I said earlier, SummerSlam doesn't really look like a SummerSlam card at all, except for a few matches. And I'm really only excited for 3 out of the 8 matches on the card. But hopefully I am surprised. Usually when I'm not excited about a card, it ends up going over pretty well. So we'll see what happens. 9 times out of 10 that happens. And then you have shows like Extreme Rules. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I hope everybody enjoys all the wrestling this weekend. I hope that we are not disappointed. And if you want to continue to support me, you can continue to go to my website, MikeJCOnWrestling.com. Look out for more recordings like this, more articles, as well as you can now see me writing features on SLTDWrestling.com, where every week I will be reviewing AEW Dynamite. And look out for other projects and other things that I have already done. Once those things are ready, they will be announced, and I hope everybody enjoys them. So thank you once again. Follow me on Twitter at MikeJC821, and that's going to do it for me, guys. Thanks, and enjoy the shows.